Hey there. I know after the holidays, you're probably looking at your donor list and thinking, okay, how do we keep this going?
Yeah.
We're diving into some articles today all about first quarter donor retention,
Mm-hmm.
especially for child sponsorship programs.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, we can give you some ideas to turn those one-time givers into some really dedicated long-term supporters.
And that's where it gets really interesting. I mean, we always want to keep getting those new donors,
Right.
but focusing on the ones you already have, there are some surprising benefits to that.
Yeah, I get that it's important, obviously, to keep donors around, but like beyond that warm, fuzzy feeling of knowing that you've got loyal donors, are we really talking about a difference to the bottom line here?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
It's not even just about saving money.
Right.
On acquiring new donors, though, that's a huge factor. Think about operations, smoother paperwork, cleaner data, which helps you target your communications better. And ultimately, I mean, this is the bad part, more resources freed up to actually run your programs.
So it's like a ripple effect
It is.
that makes everything more efficient.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so why is the first quarter so important? I mean, isn't that holiday spirit enough to keep people engaged?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Imagine, someone makes a really generous donation during the holidays. They feel really great about their contribution,
Mm-hmm.
but then nothing.
Oh,
No follow-up, no updates, no real sense of how their money made a difference. That initial enthusiasm can fade really fast.
particularly if they're like a new donor
Yeah,
who's still figuring out, how they want to give.
absolutely.
And I imagine for child sponsorship, that's even more important
It is,
to
yeah.
have that consistent support.
Yeah, if you lose a sponsor, I mean, that could directly impact a child's access to things like education, healthcare, even their basic needs.
Right.
So those first few months after the holidays,
Hmm.
those are make it or break it time for turning those holiday donors into long-term champions for these kids.
So how do we do that? How do we avoid that drop off and how do we make those connections really stick?
Okay, so fast, personalized follow-ups are key.
Okay.
We're talking thank you notes within 48 hours.
Wow. Okay.
But, tailored to the type of donor. So maybe a first-timer gets like a weekly welcome series showing them their impact.
Okay.
And then a major donor receives a monthly personalized report, something like that.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
The right info at the right time.
Exactly.
And for child sponsors specifically, I bet a photo or a story from the child that they're helping can really make a difference.
It's powerful, for sure. But it's not enough to just say thank you. We've got to show these donors the impact of their generosity.
Right. Right.
This is where things like storytelling, photos, videos, even virtual events, that kind of stuff can make a huge difference.
I'm always about working smarter, not harder.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the sources we were looking at mentioned data
Yeah.
and technology to boost retention, which honestly kind of sounds like a secret weapon.
It is for a lot of organizations, yeah.
So tell me about that.
Okay, so your holiday campaign data, think of it like it's a gold mine.
Okay.
What donation methods were popular? When were people looking at your content?
Mm-hmm.
Were there any signs, like warning signs of people who might drop off? That kind of thing?
And I imagine, especially with child sponsorship programs, that data could really tell you
Mm.
if a sponsor prefers seeing like the progress reports versus personal stories from the kids,
Oh, for sure.
which could be a make or break thing, I think,
It totally could be.
long term.
Yeah. And platforms like Help You Sponsor can really help manage all of this.
Oh, interesting.
They have automation features,
Okay.
like automated child updates, custom messages, and even things like engagement tracking tools.
Now, engagement tracking tools, what are those?
Oh, those are really cool. So they can identify potential retention issues before they become problems.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they can track, how often sponsors respond to messages or how often they look at content you send them. And if a sponsor isn't engaging, it'll flag it for you so you can reach out to them.
So it's kind of like a safety net
Yeah,
to
exactly.
catch the people who might be slipping away.
Yeah.
But let's shift gears for a second and focus specifically on child sponsorship programs.
Hmm.
What are some of the things we need to consider when we're trying to build lasting bonds in those programs?
Brightpoint for Children, they did some research, and they stress the power of personal connection,
Okay.
frequent early communication,
Okay.
and quickly addressing any sponsor concerns.
Hmm.
That can drastically reduce that post-holiday donor drop-off.
I see.
A new sponsor gets a welcome package with a note from the child they're sponsoring,
Right.
or they have their questions answered quickly. That builds a lot of trust and loyalty.
So we're talking monthly photos and updates, quarterly letters, early impact reports.
Exactly.
These all sound like good ways to nurture that bond between the sponsor and the child.
They really are. Yeah.
And platforms like Help You Sponsor can help us manage this.
They absolutely can. They do a lot of the heavy lifting.
Okay.
So you can focus on what matters, which is cultivating those relationships.
It feels like we're really talking about a shift in perspective.
Okay.
Not just managing donors, but building a real community.
Yeah, it's a really important distinction. We're not just asking for money. We're inviting people to be part of something bigger than themselves,
Yeah.
you know, to really see themselves as participants in creating change.
And I imagine when a donor feels that sense of ownership, that's when they really become invested. They're not just giving money. They're becoming advocates,
Yeah,
ambassadors, even lifelong champions for the cause.
absolutely. And that's really true, especially for child sponsorship programs. You
Yeah.
know, that personal connection that they have with a child, it makes them much more likely to stay involved for the long haul through the ups and downs.
Yeah, it's almost like they become part of an extended family, united by this shared commitment to a child's well-being.
It is, yeah. It's a really beautiful thing to see.
So, say someone's listening to this right now and they're running a child sponsorship program. What are some tangible steps they can take, like right now, to put all this into practice?
Okay, so a good place to start is always your communications plan. You know, making sure that it's really personalized, not just a general message sent to everyone.
Okay, yeah.
Remember, we're trying to cultivate individual relationships.
Right, and we talked about tailoring communications based on donor type. So weekly updates for new donors, monthly reports for major givers, and so on.
Right.
But how can we take that even further, especially for child sponsorship?
Think about creating different streams of communication based on what each sponsor finds valuable.
Yeah.
You know, some people might be all about those detailed progress reports,
Right.
while other people, you know, they might connect more with heartwarming stories and photos from the field.
That's a great point. It's almost like we're trying to find each sponsor's love language, but for engagement.
It is, yeah, yeah.
But, don't we run the risk of overwhelming people if we send them too much stuff?
Yeah, it's definitely a balance. This is where getting creative with your methods can help.
Okay.
So, you know, maybe a video message from a program coordinator, a virtual tour of a project site, even handwritten notes from the children.
Wow.
Those can break through the clutter and make people feel really valued.
I love it. But let's be honest, this all sounds like a lot of work. How can we manage this level of personalization without getting completely swamped?
Right. Well, this is where technology becomes really essential.
Okay.
You know, those platforms we were talking about,
Hmm.
like Help You Sponsor,
Yeah.
they're designed to automate and streamline all of these processes so they're not as time-consuming.
So we can automate the messages.
So-
We can schedule those updates.
Exactly.
We can even track how sponsors are engaging with it all.
You got it. And that takes a huge weight off your shoulders. You can focus on the human element of the relationship.
Yeah, it's not just sending out generic emails anymore. It's about creating those experiences
Absolutely.
that really resonate
Yeah.
with each person.
And the technology helps you do that on a bigger scale.
Okay, so I'm seeing a pattern here.
Yeah.
It seems like whether we're talking about personalized communication or leveraging technology, it all comes back to building trust and a sense of community with our donors.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
You know, when a donor feels that trust, when they feel like they're part of something special, they're much more likely to stay engaged and invested in what you're doing.
It's not about soliciting donations. It's about building a movement.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
You said it perfectly.
But what about pitfalls that people should watch out for?
Mm-hmm.
Especially, in those first few months when a new donor is deciding whether or not they're going to stick around.
One of the biggest mistakes I see is, you know, being too transactional in your approach.
Mhm.
If you're only communicating when you need something from them, you know, donors will pick up on that and they're going to feel used. Yeah, you know, it's like only calling your friends when you need a favor. It's not a recipe for a strong relationship.
Yeah, for sure. So what's the alternative to that?
Shift the focus to genuine relationship building.
Okay.
Stay in touch regularly, share updates on your work, even the challenges, and celebrate milestones together. Let donors feel like partners, not just funders.
So it's almost about giving more than you ask.
It is.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Are there any other common traps that we should try to avoid?
You know, another big one I see a lot is neglecting to segment your donor base.
Okay.
I mean, you wouldn't send the same message to someone who just made their first donation as you would someone who's been giving for years, right?
Right, of course.
They have different levels of knowledge,
Yeah.
different needs, maybe even different communication preferences.
So taking the time to really group donors based on, their giving history,
Yeah.
their engagement levels,
Mm.
even like what kind of messages they respond to.
Right.
That makes our communication feel a lot more relevant and personal.
Absolutely. The more personalized you can be, the more seen, heard, and valued a donor feels. And that goes a long way in building those long-term relationships we've been talking about.
Okay, so we've talked about personalization, we've talked about building relationships, we've talked about using technology. Anything else we need to keep in mind as we put together our donor retention plan?
Yeah, transparency.
Okay.
It's absolutely key. Donors want to know how their contributions are being used. What impact are they having?
Yeah.
So clear and consistent reporting on your progress and outcomes is really, really important.
Okay.
And don't be afraid to share both the successes and the challenges you face.
So give them kind of a behind-the-scenes look at the work.
Exactly, yeah. It builds trust,
Mhm.
and it shows them that you're accountable.
Okay.
It reinforces that sense of partnership,
Yeah.
and shared purpose.
I love it. So we've got personalization, relationship building, using technology, transparency. It's all coming together here.
Yeah.
But before we move on, I want to circle back to those child sponsorship programs.
Yeah.
Are there any unique challenges or maybe opportunities when it comes to retention in those programs specifically?
One challenge that I see sometimes is managing expectations.
Okay.
It's really important to be upfront about the realities of child sponsorship.
Right.
It's not about quick fixes.
Yeah.
It's a long-term commitment.
Mm-hmm.
Progress can be slow, and, it can be incremental.
Right. We want to make sure that sponsors understand they're not just like buying a child's happiness.
Yeah, definitely not.
They're really investing in their future.
Yes.
And that future is influenced by, a lot of things, not just financial support.
A lot of things.
Family dynamics, community resources, even like broader social issues.
Absolutely.
They all play a role.
Yeah, and we need to educate sponsors about these complexities.
Yeah.
And really help them understand that child development is a process.
So it's about balancing realistic expectations with highlighting, the incredible impact that support can have over time.
Right.
But amidst all these challenges, I imagine there are also some really unique opportunities.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. The potential for deep and meaningful connection in child sponsorship is huge. I mean, when sponsors really feel that bond with the child they're supporting, they're much more likely to become really passionate advocates, the kind who stick with you for years to come.
It's that human connection that can really make a difference.
It is, yeah.
And I imagine that's especially true in child sponsorship, where the emotional stakes are just so high. So how do we go beyond, the basics? How do we really cultivate that connection?
There are so many creative ways to do that.
Okay.
I mean, personalized letters and photos are great, but think about things like video chats or even opportunities for sponsors to actually visit the child and the community.
Wow.
Those kinds of experiences can really deepen the bond and make the sponsorship truly transformative.
Wow. Yeah. I can just imagine, a sponsor meeting the child that they've been supporting for years and, really seeing firsthand the difference that their contributions have made.
Yeah.
I feel like those are the kind of moments that spark lifelong memories and inspire even more generosity.
Exactly. Those moments of human connection, they really elevate the entire experience.
Yeah.
And they create this ripple effect of positive change that goes way beyond just a single sponsorship.
This has been so thought-provoking.
Good.
I feel like I have this whole new toolkit for building lasting relationships with donors, especially, for our child sponsorship program.
Awesome.
Before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, can you recap the main things you want our listeners to walk away with today?
Yes, definitely. Let's go over those essential points one more time. So, swift, personalized follow-ups, especially in those first 48 hours after a donation, are crucial. And don't just say thank you. Show them the impact. Make it tangible with real stories, with photos, with evidence of what they're doing.
And the data can really be our friend here. Analyzing our holiday campaign can reveal so much about our donors and what they're interested in. Plus, there's technology, like Help You Sponsor, that can help manage all of these communications and free up our time to focus on those human connections.
All of that is so essential, but there's one more thing I really want to emphasize. It's about taking the long view, Donor retention isn't just about next quarter's numbers. It's about building a sustainable future for your organization. So when donors really feel like partners, they're in it for the long haul,
Yeah.
providing stability even when things get tough.
It's like building a loyal fan base.
Yeah.
but for a good cause.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And speaking of, cheering and all that, let's not forget about celebrating those successes together.
Oh, yeah.
When you reach a milestone, share it with your donors. Make sure they know that their contributions made it possible and let them experience that sense of accomplishment, together.
That's such a good point because it really does reinforce that feeling of like being a part of something,
It does.
something bigger than themselves.
Yeah, it's incredibly motivating for everyone. And remember, this whole journey of donor retention, it's ongoing. It's not like a one-time thing.
Yeah, yeah.
It requires attention, adaptation, and a genuine desire to connect with your supporters on a deeper level.
It's like we're building bridges of understanding, empathy, shared purpose even.
Absolutely. And those are the foundations of, any strong relationship.
That's a great way to put it.
And when you approach donor retention with that mindset, you'll be amazed by what you can all achieve together.
This deep dive has been so insightful. I feel like I have like a whole new toolkit to work with when it comes to building those relationships with donors. So thank you for that.
Oh, you're so welcome.
What a great conversation.
I'm so glad to hear that. And just remember, the most successful organizations, they don't just see donors as a source of funding. They see them as valued partners in their mission. Embrace that, and you'll be well on your way to creating a really thriving community of support that will fuel your work for years to come.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us today. It's been a pleasure.
The pleasure was all mine. Keep up the great work and never underestimate the power of human connection.
And to all of our amazing listeners, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of donor retention. We hope you gained some valuable insights and maybe even some actionable strategies to put into practice. Remember, every interaction, every single one with your donors is a chance to build a deeper connection. So go out there and make those relationships count.